And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we are talking about truth. I um I come and share thoughts on things that very often people challenge me on because it gives me the opportunity of clarifying some things that obviously some people are not understanding. The principles that I teach on my channel, they are very thoroughly understood, very thoroughly investigated, very um they're very precise, and they remain that way forever. Okay, like I'm striving to become a man of truth in every single thing that I do. And what I want more than anything else is for other people to receive the truth and live it in their lives so that they can receive the same happiness that I've received from the truth, and be able to together move towards the truth, to the truth as a family. Okay, so the three principles of the Men of High Value movement is truth, freedom, and family. Okay, so those are my three pillars. I live by these pillars. There's nothing else more important to me than those three things. And it all starts with truth. And for me, that's basically education. It's understanding how the world works, how the universe works, and then progressing together in harmony towards achieving and attaining and applying the truth in every single thing that we do. When we do so, eventually, as a huge human family, we'll all be able to live in harmony together. When you understand that, you begin to see the world as a fantastic place. There's a lot of people out there who look at this world and they're like, man, everything's so horrible and humankinds are so uh, they suck and everyone's horrible, and we're all going to go down the drain, and there's going to be this and that and the other. They get into this negative mindset that has nothing to do with the truth. The truth is that everything always works out in the end. The truth is that light always wins. The truth is that truth lasts the longest, which means that it will endure, which means that all falsehoods and lies and everything that prevents us from getting to the truth will eventually be exposed. It is physically impossible by universal rules that truth will not win. It's impossible for truth to not win. Truth always wins. And if you know that, because that's the nature of truth, then you can be fired up outside your brain. Because then you can have the long-term picture in mind that, yeah, we might lose some battles, but I can promise you that we will win the war. It's impossible for us not to win the war. We might have people, be killed during the process. Who cares? If you're living for the truth, you will live and die for the truth. And if you're willing to do that, the truth will evolve and become a reality eventually, because there's so many people who desire the truth. So let me just go deeply into what I believe the truth should have as its principles, okay? First of all, the definition of truth. Most important aspect of this entire video, but I have to go deeply into it so that people understand my definition. But it's very simple. The definition of truth is that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. Okay, so you have to have both parts of the definition, because very often if you just say that which works, then that's not necessarily the truth, because there are things that we call trends, or things that work temporarily right now that might not be the thing that works later. Okay, and that situations change and people change and we as a society change and all that stuff. If you only look at the first part of that definition, that which works, then people can be like, oh yeah, but it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, and how can you say that that's the truth? No, you have to couple it within the long run and in the big scheme of things. And when I talk about long run and big scheme of things, I'm talking about long run. Okay, I'm talking about billions and billions and billions of years. I'm talking about principles that no matter what, no matter what happens to us as a people, no matter what happens to this planet, no matter what, there are universal laws put in place that work no matter what, always, forever. They're not going to change. They remain the same forever. Okay, I'm going to give examples of that, but that's how you understand that something truly does work, is if they work continuously all the time forever, and they're not going to stop. Okay, it's not just the trend, it's evergreen. Okay, it's gonna continue always. And the aspect of the big scheme of things is that we're thinking big. Okay, just in the same way that long is billions of years, big is no matter where in the universe you are. There are certain principles in place that you can always return back to and know for a fact that they function, they work. So, what are my 3 pillars of the truth? Okay, let's try to simplify this. Number 1, it's simple. Okay, even a child can understand it. If for truth to be the truth, it needs to be simple and be able to be easily explained. In the sense that, for example, freedom. Okay, everyone desires freedom. There is no one that desires to be locked up forever and ever and ever and ever. We all desire to be free. Okay, that's a principle. That's truth. That is what works. Okay, but very often people have a different way and different trends about how to achieve that freedom. But a principle is a principle, which means that if we all desire freedom, then the only way to get to freedom is by giving freedom. So that's a principle. You can't force other people in order for everyone to get freedom. Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, it becomes an oxymoron to believe that you can force people. Okay, this is socialism in a nutshell. You're forcing other people to do something they do not want to do, so that eventually we all can have freedom. Like, it doesn't make any sense. No, we've got to give everyone freedom and believe that we all together as a people will move towards the truth, and that everything will work out in the long run. In the short run, it might look ugly. In the short run, it's going to be horrific, maybe. Okay, but it's the truth. And we've got to couple the freedom and give that freedom to everyone, and then make sure that we only infringe upon other people's freedom if they infringe upon other people's freedom. Does that make sense? So that's why we need law and order. We need police. We need military. We need all those things, because there's still people in this world that have not come to an understanding of the truth. So you need people to protect us from other people wanting to inflict a lack of freedom on us, so that we can be free, if that makes sense. Okay, so we give freedom, but we limit the freedom of those that want to limit other people's freedom. That's a principle. It's truth. It's that which works. In the short run, okay, in the short run, it might get worse before it gets better. Okay, so be it, because we know that it's a principle and it's gonna last forever. If you simply give other people freedom, okay, they're free. Okay, now you can begin to look at your options. Before you didn't have freedom, then you couldn't look at your options because you had limited options and you couldn't do much. It's simple. Did you understand? It's an example of simplicity. So that's one thing. Yes, some truths might be complicated, obviously, right? You know, the Einstein's, E/mc squared, whatever, and all those other amazing things that people have figured out about the universe and blah blah blah, and how time and space, and there's a lot of things that have been discovered that I obviously don't understand, and that there's a lot of things in the universe that we still do not understand, and space travel and how to travel light of speed, and time portals and like all that crap. Okay, we're discovering it as we go, and there's still so much things that have not been revealed or discovered or invented, etc., etc. However, the people that understand those truths and that understand how things work, and that go into those deep, complex levels of understanding, they're able to explain those things to a child, okay? And they're able to explain how it works simply, if that makes sense. Because if they were not able to explain it simply, then they couldn't do it again and again and again. They couldn't explain how things work mathematically again and again and again. Like, it would be random. It would be a random selection of, like, the universe has made it in such a way that we can actually use mathematics and science and to figure things out, because there are certain principles that are valid no matter what. Do you understand what I mean? So that's what makes it so that we can understand the universe and understand so much more about what's going on, because it's systematic. Even our bodies, okay? It's we all have hearts, right? It's consistent. So in that way, I'm just trying to explain to you the aspect of simplicity in the universe. At one point in the history of the world, eventually everyone will come to a knowledge of the truth. Everyone. It will take different times for different people, right? There are some that are seekers of the truth and that want the truth more than anything else and are willing to sacrifice everything, their entire lives, just to know the truth. They're the ones that end up getting to the truth and understanding it simply before everyone else, right? Because they're passionate about it and they're gonna find the truth. Those are the people that I want to be around. And then you've got other people who could not care less. They don't care about the long term. They don't care about, like, who cares about the truth? I just want to live my life. I just want to, eat, drink, and be merry, and just enjoy myself. Obviously, these are the people that will come around later, when they hit the wall, when life beats them up, and when they, maybe when they die, and then they die and they're like, so I need to figure out the truth now, because obviously the thing that I did not work, right? You understand how it works? It's like some people get on the exponential growth curve of finding the truth earlier than others, but it doesn't make those people that are not seeking for the truth right now bad or evil. They're just ignorant, right? There's nothing, like, from my understanding of the universe, the way things are, people say that there's light and darkness and that there's good and evil. And yes, I understand their viewpoint. However, for me, in terms of humans, God loves everyone, right? All of us are loved. It's just that some of us are applying principles of truth before the others are applying principles of truth. And then there are some people who are trying to destroy, what others believe to be true, but they will come around eventually, because they'll figure it out eventually, but they're not going to figure it out in the beginning. Right? So when you begin to look at life and humankind this way, you begin to understand that all of us are good. They're just confused, the people that are not living the truth and that are fighting against what we understand to be the truth, right? Like, because they're scared, because they believe that humans are evil, because they believe that humankind is horrific. No, we're all good. Every single one of us. Everyone. It's just that people are trying to save the world sometimes using their own false philosophies and ideologies. Okay? I hope that you guys can understand what I'm trying to say here, but basically, with my worldview, everyone is a good person. They're just ignorant about what works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. They might believe that something works short term, and the thing that works short term needs to be applied on a worldwide basis, and everyone needs to, be forced to apply this principle, because if they apply it, then the whole world will be utopia. That's how communists think. That we need to apply this principle right now, and then eventually everyone will have sufficient for their needs. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. What works is giving everyone responsibility over their own lives, allowing everyone to decide over their own life and figure it out for themselves. We want people to become educated, and the only way for other people to become educated is not to be led anymore, not for someone else to take massive responsibility for them anymore. They need to be cast out. They need to be, it's kind of like, I know someone who is 60 years old, a lady. She's a mother, and she has 2 adult sons who lives with her. One of them is married, has 2 grandkids for her and all that stuff, and one of them is not. He's single. They're 40 years old plus, and they live with their mom. And she is struggling and trying to provide for them as much as she can. Just giving you an example here, she struggles and has struggled for all these years trying to get them to do something and get them to accomplish something in their life so that she doesn't have to provide for them anymore. They're normal guys. They're not mentally retarded. She believes that they're mentally retarded, but they're just guys. Okay, the more that you as a mother provide for 2 men, your sons, and you believe that one day they'll figure it out. No, they figure it out when life hits them. She needed to throw them out 20 years ago, because then life would have helped her to figure it out, right? So that's what basically we need to do with people, is to throw them out, and then we help them to the best of our ability voluntarily, not because the government comes in and has to protect everyone and protect minorities and protect these and the. No, we will figure it out as long as people get their freedom. Okay, so anyway, I was explaining about the principles of truth, and one of them is simplicity. It needs to be simple. It needs to be so simple that anyone can understand it. Life is not complicated. Life is not complex. There might be complex things, like, for example, how do you make sure that someone survives at the end of their life, and in order to expand their lifespan, blah blah blah, you need to give them medicine and surgery and all this stuff in order for them to live longer, right? There are certain complex methods and surgeries that need to happen, blah blah blah. But truth in itself is simple, and it's preventative. It's not trying to fix symptoms. It is prevention. It's all about understanding how things work before they start failing. Do you understand what I mean? Like, in a family, for example, you don't try to, it's not fixing symptoms that's the truth. The truth would have prevented failure in the first place, because it's simple and it's doable when you're preventing things from happening. If I'm being confusing to you guys, just comment down below and ask me questions, because all of these philosophies in my life are congruent. They're integral. They're simple. And I can easily explain them when I have someone who kind of tries to ask questions, if that makes sense. The second aspect of it is that truth works, meaning it's reliable. You can always return back to the fundamentals in your life and know for a fact that, okay, I can rely on these principles, that they're safe, that I can trust them, they're good, they're truth. I'll always return to them. Fundamentals. Understand what fundamentals are. In terms of business, what is fundamentals? Fundamentals is that business is a numbers game. It's mathematics. If you help this much people get what they want, and they give you $1 or $1,000 or $100 or $10,000, and you've managed to create enough value for them to want to give that to you voluntarily, and you do it in such a way that they enjoy what they've received, so that they come back to you again and again and again and again, and you do that to a certain amount of people, let's say 1 million people, you will become rich. Like, do you understand? It's a numbers game. It's fundamental. It's reliable. It's physically impossible for you not to get rich if you understand the numbers game, if you understand the fundamentals of business. And the fundamentals of business is that 1 million people gives you $1 a year. That's $1 million, right? And then you bring in the complexity of taxes, and you bring in the complexity of, oh, these people want to sue you, and you bring in the complexity of people, right? People are complex. That's what people say. It's not so complicated, but people are making it complicated. So then we just have to handle their complications, right? But in simple terms, the fundamentals of business never ever change. It's mathematics. It's a numbers game. If I talk to this many people, a percentage of them will accept my offer if I have value to offer. The majority of people might not want the offer because they don't trust me. They don't know who I am. They don't know my product. They don't know my service. However, the more my product and service becomes well known because of my good sales and marketing schemes, and they work, and they actually are beneficial for other people, and I know that they work. Did you notice that? Truth, it works. If I have a product that works, I'm aligning my life with the truth. And I want to help people to receive more truth in their lives because I have a solution that works for them. Do you understand? Like, we're progressing towards the truth continuously and improving society, finding solutions to problems continuously. That's what business is, guys. It's truth and giving truth to the world. Truth is solutions, solution oriented. Okay, is understanding that we need to figure out what works. We need to figure out solutions. We need to figure out how we can help other people to solve their problem, because they're suffering right now in their ignorance. They're suffering right now with not having this product. They're suffering right now in not being able to solve whatever is their problem. So if you are the one that comes in and solves their problem forever, and that problem is now forever solved because of your product, because of your service, because of whatever it is that you bring to the table, you've now improved these people's lives forever. That's business. That's why when you become a capitalist and you become fired up outside your brain about solving other people's problems, they will love you for it. They will give you power because of it. They want you to have more power because you're providing them with the solution. You give me a solution, I'm going to pay you. Okay? I love solutions. I want things to work in my life. I want things to continuously improve and become better. So if you are a person who's able to give me those solutions, here's my money. I would be like, what else am I going to do with my money? My money is only there to solve my problems. That's the only reason why people work, is to solve their problems, right? I've got a problem that I need to eat. I got a problem that I need clothes. I have a problem that I need housing. I have a problem that I want entertainment in my life. I have a problem because of this, that, and the other, right? Everyone's got problems. But entrepreneurs are those that come in and solve those problems, and then people work on a continual basis in order to make money, because they're exchanging their time for money, their skills for money, so that they can pay for solutions to their problems, their ongoing problems. The universe is perfect, guys. The plan is perfect. It has been organized in such an amazing manner that when you understand that which works, when you understand the truth, you get fired up outside your brain. This is why I'm fired up, because I understand these principles. I understand that the more power, the more money, the more goodness I bring to the world, the more fired up I'm going to get about my life. Even more fired up than I am today, because karma works, right? I send out, I get back in massive returns. I give back and invest more, and I get back in massive returns, even greater than what I invested. That's business. You invest in assets continuously. You've got money. You don't spend money on things that eventually takes money out of your pocket all the time. Business is that you invest in assets that gives you more money back, so that you have more money to invest, and then you put that back into assets, and then the more money comes back. If you understand the principles taught by Robert Kiyosaki in Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's an eternal principle. It's truth. It's that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. Investing in something and then it coming back to you in a higher return than what you invested, if that makes sense. Okay, so anyway, it's the second principle was reliability. It's reliable, truth. You can always get back to the fundamentals and know what the fundamentals are and apply them, so that things work in your life, okay? The third one is sustainability. If you have very often people come with trends or things that work temporarily, but we end up maybe finding out that that was a very bad idea. We had no idea that this was going to be a bad idea because we thought that it was going to be amazing and it was going to solve all of our problems, and it actually took us in the wrong direction. We need to stop that immediately and begin to apply the correct principle as soon as possible. Truth doesn't work that way. Truth is sustainable. It makes it so that the journey towards truth becomes easier to handle. And it's kind of like a habit. A good habit in your life is something that's sustainable. Like, for example, going to bed early and waking up early is sustainable. Practicing semen retention is sustainable. Like, literally, when you live semen retention, it's sustainable, and you can do that for the rest of your life without any health issues. Trust me on this. Okay, millions of people have done this throughout history. So it's just examples of what's sustainable and what is not sustainable. Because truth, if it works and if it actually is the truth, it's going to be sustainable for the long run, or else it's false. And then we need to figure something else out. Right? In the same way that I explain on my channels that 3 girls in love is sustainable. Monogamy is not. Monogamy is not sustainable, and it actually creates the problems that we have in the world today. Monogamy is actually the root of all evil. Evil, okay? The root of all problems, if you say. Because let me explain this one quickly to you guys, because this is one of the favorite things in my family to explain and to talk about. Monogamy has created all of the problems in today's world because if you look at families, everything stems from monogamy. You have 2 people coming together and then they create a child. That child will either prosper or they will feel neglected. Okay, they will either have a fantastic life or they will not, or they'll have something in between, right? There's always that shade area. But what we want is for that child to become truth, or to live truth in their lives, to actually for their lives to work, right? And if their lives don't work, then we know that something was wrong with their journey. What happened? Like everything stems from your childhood, pretty much. Or from, and if you've had a really rough childhood, everything was difficult, then it's more likely that you will do things in your life that doesn't work if your childhood didn't work. Does that make sense? The more emotionally fulfilled a child is in their childhood, the more things will work in their childhood, but also more things will work in the rest of their lives. If they understand what the truth is, it's more easier to seek the truth and desire the truth and live according to truth if your childhood worked, because that means that you've been raised by parents who understood that which worked and could teach you that which worked. And if you know what works, then you'll apply what works, because why would you apply stuff that doesn't work? That doesn't make any sense, right? Everything's logical. So what I was explaining about monogamy is that everything stems from monogamy. If there's a lack of capacity, lack of ability to take care of the kids feel neglected, the kids feel that they don't receive enough attention, the kids feel that there's poverty in their family, the kids feel this, that, and the other. All of this stems from a lack of capacity and motivation from the parents. What is it that produces motivation and capacity? For men, motivation and capacity comes from attraction and from motivation and from sexuality. Simple. We desire sex. We desire food. We desire, and needs. We're very simple, right? Guys are very. We're not complex. We have these needs. When they're fulfilled, we're happy. We're content. There's nothing else. Yes, we see the problems in the world, but I'm content. But okay, now it's about me going out into the world and actually solving the world problems. Now I'm going to have some problems, but I'm content. I'm happy. I'm motivated. I'm excited to solve other people's problems because I've got capacity. I've got motivation. I've got drive. Do you understand what I mean? This is destroyed in monogamy because it makes men feminine and it makes women masculine. Monogamy is the root of all of these problems, and that's what we're seeing in the world today. In the same way, women become masculine. When they're masculine, they don't have capacity, they don't have motivation, and they die prematurely. They become unhealthy because of it. Because they don't have capacity to keep up their health. They don't have capacity to keep up their health regimens and their exercise and all. Then there's no motivation there because they're not in love. And why are they not in love? Because their man is not high value. All of this is connected. Everything is connected. All my philosophies, everything is truth. The only thing I desire is truth. And if anyone has anything else that works better, I'd apply it. But there is nothing else that I found that works better than all of the principles that I teach on this channel and on the Girls of High Value channel, or I call it the 3 Girls in Love channel now. So anyway, the whole point of all this is what is sustainable. Monogamy is not sustainable. 3 Girls in Love, in my opinion, is sustainable. That is yet to be proven. It has to be proven with tons of case studies. But in my understanding of human psychology and behavior and seeing women and men and how they function, masculinity and femininity, etc., that's what's sustainable. I can make a huge long video about why it's sustainable, because Jordan B. Peterson doesn't believe that's sustainable. Jordan B. Peterson says that, oh, in polygyny, then the women would kill each other because they wouldn't be able to live together. And also, not only that, but you'd have tons of low-value men who don't have access to sexuality. And that's why it wouldn't work in the long run, and there would be riots and blah, 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 blah. Doesn't work that way, okay? We're living polygyny already. Okay, there's, pretty much 1/3 of men that are incels and that don't have any access to sexuality. And then there's another 1/3 that have access once in a while because of Tinder apps and because women are loose, because women are easily accessible. Because of that, we're pretty much living polygyny right now, where 1/3 of the guys are sleeping around with all of the girls. And there's a few minority of guys that sleep around with thousands of women, okay? We're living polygyny as we speak, but we're living it in a way that is not conducive to truth and freedom and progress. We're doing it in a way that we're destroying women. Okay, if we understand what works when it comes to women, we understand that family is the only thing that works in the entire universe, but family needs to be applied in a way that it doesn't produce long-term problems. Monogamy always produces long-term problems because of the kids being massively affected badly. 3 Girls in Love is designed in such a way that the kids' needs are taken care of because we prioritize the women's emotional needs first. They're the ones that are most important. A happy wife is a happy life. No, it's not only that. A happy wife or happy wives will always do their best to take care of their children's emotional needs. It's all about the next generation, guys, which is why I bring back the principle of truth has to do with sustainability. It needs to be able to be sustained throughout eternities if it is to be the truth. And if women are happy in a family, they won't go anywhere. They don't want to get a divorce. Why would they want to get a divorce if they're happy? It doesn't make any sense. So what, they think they can be happier on the other side if they're extremely happy? If they're extremely happy, they're not thinking about other options. They're not thinking about other men. They're not thinking about any of that. If you've been cheated on in the past, it's because she was unhappy. Her emotional needs were not being met. It was your ignorance. If you understand the women, if you understand how women work, then there's not a problem. It's easy. You just easily retain them. Okay? I could have saved Jeff Bezos billions of dollars, right? But I didn't. So anyway, the point is that you understand female nature, you'll never ever get a divorce because you understand how she functions. You understand how she can't control her emotions when the exponential growth curve has happened to her emotions, if that makes sense. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to bring home continuously is that truth needs to be sustainable for it to be truth. If it works short term but not long term, it's not truth. And so, one day we'll figure out if 3 Girls in Love society actually functions on a large scale, because thousands or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of men and women are applying it to their lives, and it's either going to work for them or it's not going to work. And if it doesn't work, then we need to figure out why it doesn't work. And if we basically figure out a better solution, fantastic. I'm all for it. Great. Awesome. Now let's move together towards the truth, because this is the thing that we found that actually functions better than what we were presented with in the past. Okay, to believe that, oh, well, anything works. Like like I allow anyone to do whatever they want to do, of course. But to believe that whatever people do works for them, so it works, that's ridiculous. There is a set system put in place that will fulfill all of the emotional needs of every man and every woman and every child. If there's a system that does not fulfill the emotional needs of all of them, it will work sustainably for a long period of time. Let's say, for example, if two people are together and they say, we don't want kids. We don't want kids at all. We're happy as we are and everyone's wonderful, and we're happy because we don't want kids. So we're happy. Okay? That's kind of Robert Kiyosaki and Kim Kiyosaki. They chose not to have kids. Why? Because they believe that kids are liabilities. Kids will pull us back. Kids cost tons of money. We don't want that in our lives. So they chose not to have kids. Okay, no offense to them. They're wonderful people. I love Robert Kiyosaki. He changed my life. However, that principle that he applied of not wanting kids because that's just not us, that's a principle that does not work in the long run and in the big scheme of things. In order for us to replace ourselves as a species, every generation, women need to have an average of 2.1 kids, okay, per woman. That's monogamous figures. It's probably going to be yeah. Anyway, but the whole point is understanding that if this is the principle truly that made me understand this from an early age. My mom taught me, to help me to not steal and to not do bad to other people and to be nice and all that stuff. She taught me very simply that what if 1 million people did what you did? Or acted that way? How would the world look like if 1 billion people acted this way? And I'm like, wow, that's that's an interesting thought. What would be the consequences for everyone if 1 million people or 1 billion people acted exactly the way that you're acting right now? There would be chaos, right? If I'm acting badly and 1 billion people duplicate my example, then we're gonna have problems. However, when you're a good person, and everything that you do is basically you being a man of truth, then people will see that example when they'll gravitate towards living the same truth that you are living because it's working. Wow, it looks like his life is working for him, so I should follow his example and do what he does. That's how we function as a species, all of us. Monkey see, monkey do. We follow the example of those people that are around us, if it seems to be working. But the problem is that in today's world, what seems to be working is the people that are partying, people that are going to college. It seems to be working, and people that are doing this, that, and the other, and things, and communists and socialism. It's like, Norway's doing pretty good, so socialism must be working. So let's do what Norway does and apply it to our country. Doesn't work very well, does it? Okay, there's a reason why it's working in Norway and not many other places, right? So the whole point that I'm trying to explain is that it needs to be sustainable and it needs to work for the long run, not just 100 years, not just the 50 years. It needs to be a principle that's applied forever. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring back to the table, helping you to understand my definition of truth, and that definition works every single time. That's why I love that definition, because it works. And it works in the long run, in the big scheme of things, and it probably won't ever change. Yes, of course, there's other definitions of truth, and I'm not going to go into that. But as a simple thing that people can understand, if something works in the long run and in the big scheme of things, then it's truth, and I need to apply it to my life. One last thing about becoming a man of truth. That's what life is about, guys. That's why I talk about masculinity. That's why I talk about semen retention, not being incongruent in your brain. Okay, you having your feminine aspect of desiring sexuality all of the time and immediate gratification, all stuff. That's not being a man of truth. That's being temperamental and being all over the place and going where your emotions will take you. That's a bad way to live your life. You want to be a man of integrity and a man of truth in the sense that you decide what you want to do with your body. You decide what you want to think about. You control it. You control your thoughts. You control your emotions. You control your behavior. You can control your habits. Then you will be able to apply that numbers game that I explained to you about riches and about business. If you can control your thoughts, your emotions, your behavior, your habits, then you'll be able to get whatever it is in life that you want. And God wants you to have everything, okay? He knows that if you apply correct principles, you will receive abundance in everything that you desire, okay? So it's simply about becoming a man of truth, man of integrity, being able to control yourself. And if you begin to be that example, then everyone around you will begin to also desire to apply the same principles. And guess what's happening? We're all moving towards truth continuously. And it gets worse before it gets better. Okay. It sucks in the beginning trying to discipline yourself because it goes against nature and it goes against flow, because nature for you maybe is to be attracted to the opposite gender, or nature for you is to watch porn, right? That's nature. That's what your body feels like doing. That's what your emotions feel like doing. So if you go together with nature and just flow and let me just enjoy and do whatever it is that I want to do, then the universe has made it in such a way that your life will be destroyed. You won't have capacity to do anything else. You'll do things that you wish you'd never done, and you won't be able to control yourself. Exponentially. The more feminine you become, the less you're able to control yourself. That's a good thing for women if they're living in the correct, happy environment. But it's a bad thing for men, because you will be able to not control yourself in the areas of life that's very important for you to control yourself, like sexuality. The more feminine you become, the more likely you are to become a pedophile, to become a rapist, to become a murderer, to become all of those things that exponentially happens the more feminine you become, because you're not able to control your emotions, right? And that will destroy your life. The more masculine you become, the more able you'll be able to control yourself, control your actions, control your emotions, and you'll be able to get whatever it is that you desire because you can choose it. It's yours for the taking as a masculine man. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Hope you got a lot out of this. And if you did, please comment down below. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button, and let me handle questions at the very end of this. Let's see. Law of polarity, for example. You can't handle the truth. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Absolutely. Truth is self-evident. Let's see. Is religion a form of business? So if you're talking about Catholicism, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, all those people who take 10% of your income or donations and all that stuff as a religion, I guess it's a business, right? But you know, some people actually believe in it, right? The majority of the people who actually live their religion believe that that religion is the truth. So so for them it's not a business, because you're actually trying to progress the Lord's work, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm not going to say much more on that. It's not that important. Especially women that work in corporate America. They become masculine and leads to health issues, in my opinion. Completely agree with you. I began feeling for such a masculine woman. Tattoos, short hair and all. My gut told me something was wrong, and indeed my mindset was all wrong. You'll have to explain yourself a little bit. What you mean about the mindset being all wrong. But the whole point is, we love everyone. Love is a principle of truth, right? Love works. If you love people, they don't want to destroy you, right? If you hate people, you increase the likelihood of someone hating you back exponentially. And if you hate someone, then you're more likely to pick up arms against that person, or you know, want their destruction. And if people are feminine, if men are feminine and begin to escalate that situation, then hate is going to escalate, and then they're going to want to escalate back the violence, and then the violence is going to escalate, and then the threats, and then the violence, and the violence, and then the war, and then eventually people die, and there's a lot of suffering as a result, and obviously that didn't work, right? So hate never works. It's not truth. It's not light. It's not a principle, right? It's something that happens, but it's temporary. It's temporary because of ignorance and because of lack of control of emotions, right? When you're masculine, if someone hates you, you're able to love them back. It's not a problem. You understand that it's not their fault. It's their upraising. It's their parents, and it's their parents' parents and parents' parents that suffered a lot. There was a lot of issues in their family, and that's the result. This is the child of the generations past that sucked. And very often it's because of monogamy, because of kids not being fulfilled, because of lack of capacity and motivation from the parents' standpoint, kids, running around doing their own thing, getting in with the wrong crowds, etc., etc. And that's the result. Me as a person, as a man of truth, cannot hate that individual for what he's doing to me or whatever he's doing to other people. But what I can do is try, is to be a good example of nonviolence, right? This is when you begin to understand the principles of Mahatma Gandhi and all that stuff. If he, however, begins to attack me physically, that's a different story. I got to protect my life so that I can protect my wife and my children and all that stuff, right? So then I would actually interact, and I would have to end his life if that was the case. Do you understand what I mean? But that would be completely in self-defense. So it's important that I understand how to defend myself. It's important that I understand martial arts, about guns, about, increasing my power in that arena so no one can take my life. Because if someone takes my life, then I'm done. I can't help anymore on this planet. And it's important that I help. So I got to defend myself. However, if I know he's not going to attack me and he doesn't attack me, then I should not care whatever he tells to my face. I should not care about whatever he offends me with. Who cares? He's just ignorant, poor guy. But if he attacks me physically, then I have to, resort to violence myself in order to protect myself and my family, if that makes sense. So that kind of explains also violence in very few short sentences. I just explained to you guys how to create peace on earth. Like, the value that you guys are getting from me on this channel is insane. It is insane. And for those of you guys who are clients of mine, understand the value that I provide for you. And those of you that are not, keep watching videos. Maybe one day you'll be coached by me. Who knows? Eventually, that's what I want to share with you guys. Hope you have a fantastic day or night, whatever you are doing. And become a man of truth, man. Become masculine. Do the things that work so that your life can eventually exponentially work and create massive abundance in your life. This is the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you in the next one.